Good evening and welcome to the Invictus Racing League Tier 1 in partnership with gridfinder.com and Venturi Studios. Tonight we have what is effectively for Tier 1 round number 9 at the Singapore Grand Prix. My name is JPH99 and joining me as per normal in the commentary box is Bruce Lee Harding. Good evening, Bruce. How are you?
Good evening, JPH. Doing well, thanks very much. Looking forward to this. Another street circuit, 2 in a row. Obviously, we were at Vegas last week, and gave us a great race. Nearly a couple of surprises, but hopefully, Singapore will bring us a bit of unpredictability once again.
Yeah, absolutely. As we know, from Las Vegas, street circuits tend to bring out safety cars. We've had 66% chance of safety car this week so far. Tier 2 didn't have a safety car, so slightly better odds than Las Vegas was this time last week. But obviously Emir's out on his outlap, and he is the one leading the championship so far.
Yeah, definitely. Emir leading the championship, and a little bit of a buffer now to Merck. A bit of work to do for his teammate, but still a long way to go in the season. We're only at round 8 so far. This is round 9, still plenty of time for things to change between those two guys.
Yeah, absolutely. Conan is out. That's at turn 8.
Yeah, he's obviously on his outlap, so a big surprise there for Conan, and undoubtedly now he's going to be starting in 15th place. So not the best start there for him, unfortunately. But as we say, it's unpredictable, this track. So qualifying is not necessarily the be all and end all.
Absolutely. And good evening to Sam Flanagan, who I'm going to make an educated guess is Sam Flan from Tier 4. There's about 4 or 5 safety cars in Tier 4, but we're going to go on board with Emir for a lap of this 4.94 kilometre circuit here at Singapore, down towards turn 1, down to 4th, and just absolutely fling it through. Use as much of the curb through 2, and then you just kind of line it up for 3 and get on the power on a straight. 4 isn't really there, it's just a flat left. Up to 5, down to 4th, just nip the inside curb. Use all the exit you can to get the steering open. DRS zone now through 6, up towards 7. Bit of an overtaking hot spot here, turn 7, as you head down into 4th. Don't run too wide, then you head up into 8. There's a lot tighter this corner than it looks on the entry. Turn 9, easy to get wrong, just run wide as Emir has a slight twitch to it. Then down to the infamous Singapore sling. 4th gear, not quite the chicane it used to be. 11 and 12. 11 are 90 right as you flick left over the Anderson Bridge, and then into the hairpin of turn 13, and up for your second DRS zone of the lap. Make it right up, just after 100 metres, you start braking for turn 14, and then this is the slightly new section of the circuit. Normally you'd flick left and then go 90 right on the old layout, but on this one you're going to flick left and go all the way down to the final of the chicanes. At turn 16 and 17, MDJ has retired, that's at turn 5. So interesting start for the Tier 1 boys. Turns 18, 19, slight tap of the brakes to make the front bite, and then power all the way through to the line for a 1:28.9 for Emir Djurakovic.
Yeah, a big surprise there with MDJ crashing out already. Not expecting that one. He's been really solid recently, so a bit of a surprise there. Mert currently 2 tenths down at the first sector on his teammate, pretty much matching him now at sector 2, so it could be very, very close here now as Mert now approaches this slightly new section. They miss out the hotel set of corners, set of chicanes, and as he comes up now to the penultimate corner, looking nice and tidy at the moment, and let's see what he can do. I think this could be very, very close.
Close to 28.9 to beat is a 29.0 for Merck. 0.19 of a second behind, all bar the shouting. So it's not quite as quick as Rockley puts himself into 3rd place in the Alfa Romeo camp. Who else do we have on a lap? I think Stinos is on a lap, potentially also the Haas of Martin, just coming around the final couple of corners. It's a 1:31.0. Probably more time to be found for Martin now. I think you would probably get a better lap afterwards, maybe a banker for Martin, as Stinos decides he's going to take the challenge to Emir with a 1:28.7.
Yeah, it's a good lap there from Stinos. Yeah, Fruit showing his intent early on in this qualifying session. I didn't know his Ashtray went out on medium, so I don't know, a bit of practice maybe for him. So he's obviously not going to set a representative time. Beyond the ball currently on the lap, but probably looking at he's a good 1.4 seconds currently down at sector 2 on Emir's time. So that'd be possibly slightly more on Stenos as well. Obviously Bjorn was rushing a bit to get into the quali session, so maybe not quite settled down just yet. Be interested to see where he puts himself now on his first flying lap, but I'm going to hazard a guess possibly around Reska's time. Just slightly slower than Reska's time.
Yes, DeLol has now retired, and he spun it through turn 2. So that's too much curb through turn 1 on the inside, and the back end just got for him.
I think people are clearly pushing very hard, and we've always emphasised the point of a banker lap, and 3 guys out now without setting times. It's going to shuffle the grid up quite a bit for the start of the race already, and obviously Ashtray, Owen and Pro Driver still yet to get a time in. I think Pro Driver did disconnect, but it looks like he's rejoined back in now, so fingers crossed he can get back out on his season debut and get back into this qualifying session.
Yeah, absolutely, and as you say, stressing the importance of a banker lap, especially on a street circuit like this, because, I mean, on a normal circuit, it's not so bad. For instance, so we have the rerun of Abu Dhabi next week, China the week after for Tier 1. On those type of circuits, it's not so bad if you make a slight mistake because you've got the runoff availability there. Whereas here, you make one mistake, and as we've already seen with 3 occasions, you overstep the mark, you're in the wall, and that's the end of your session.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, sometimes you do get a bit lucky and you just knock a front wing off or a slight bit of end plate damage. But tonight this Singapore track is definitely biting hard already. So, and a fairly big warning ahead of the race as well that it does seem like mistakes are going to be quite heavily punished.
And it looks like Ghost has also joined the session, so we're going to be up to 16 cars, which is very good and healthy to see for Tier 1. There's Owen on his outlap at the moment, just going through turn 8 at Stamford and then through Padang. Before anyone asks, I have got these off of Wikipedia, so they could be right, they could be wrong.
I mean, there's more chance of them being right than our Las Vegas ones last week, which were entirely fictional, but you just never know, they might work out in the end. But as I say, Owen now coming over the Anderson Bridge, he's going to want to get a lap in. Now, I believe I did read earlier that Owen's not quite feeling 100%. I don't know if this is one from the book of excuses or if it's a legitimate reason, but apparently not quite 100%. So will be interesting to see what he can do when he's not feeling too good. Yeah,
will definitely be interesting. I do have also other news. DeLol is running a new wheel. He's on a Fanatec DD for PlayStation. So not ideal for him because it means he's going to have less practice now on that new piece of equipment.
Yeah, I guess as Owen starts is flying that now, I guess the only advantage for DeLol is this is probably one of the longest, if not the longest race on the calendar time-wise, so should give him plenty of time hopefully to bed in with it. But yeah, not really the ideal preparation, as you say, on a new piece of equipment. But these guys are Tier 1 drivers for a reason. I'm pretty sure they can overcome most things, and hopefully that's something they'll be able to overcome within a few laps of the race start.
I mean, all we know is they're faster than us, and that's why they're here. I mean, just coming through turn 8, and it's not looking like a bad lap. Although it gets a boatload of oversteer coming out of turn 8 there.
I believe we call that traditional Owen, I believe. But he was 8 tenths down in the first sector on the quickest time, or what Emir set, sorry. So may not be quite accurate, but he's around about that sort of region at the moment. Emir did cross sector 2 on a 1:04.0 on his current fastest lap. So it'd be interesting to see where we're at with Owen. He's about 1.5 down, so but again, this is another feature of this being such a long lap, is that you'll find that sometimes the gaps between drivers are bigger than you'd usually expect, rather than being a few tenths here or there. You're looking at a second or so behind the quickest time, and he's probably taken a bit too much curb there. Just hopped him off line a little bit, so I think he's probably going to be a couple of seconds off the pace of this one. High 30s, I reckon. 31-0.
And Emir, I was about to say, Emir after sector 2 is 4 tenths up. He goes to a 1:28.4 and provisional pole position. Stinos is going to be starting his next lap. Meanwhile, Merckx is a quarter of a second up after sector 2. So we'll see how he goes through the last few corners here. Oh, he just invalidates.
Sorry, Jordan, to interrupt, but Ashtube going quite well here. Looking like I think he could be on for a top 5 if he can complete this lap nice and cleanly, which would be really, really good for him. Again, Ashtube, someone that we've seen with great pace in recent races, but just does have sort of mistakes thrown in here or there, and only up to 8, but still that's a really, really good start for Ashtube.
It's not a bad time either, that. It's only 1.3 off of Emir, which, if you look at Stinos, is only a second off of Stinos here. So that's not too bad a time that from Ash. He's got relatively close company from Pro Driver down. So Pro Driver, his first lap, a 1:29.6. Stinos, however, is 2 tenths up after sector 2. So you've still got a little bit more time left to find if he wants to get his provisional pole back, but he's on course for at least bettering his time.
Yep. It'll be interesting to see what he can do as he comes up to that final set of corners. Oh, very close for Stinos, just 18 thousandths off of Emir's time. So yeah, it looks like once again, MDJ gave Emir and Stinos as well last week, gave Emir and Merckx a hard time, and I think it could be the same again this week. I think Stinos is definitely up there pace-wise and looking to challenge the guys in the Astons.
Absolutely. A few more in the chat. Cameron Storm Renz, good evening, guys. Welcome to Tier 1. Cameron, part of the Bashi fan club, who Joshua Bashford, who's on the screen at the moment in his McLaren. He was up on Sector 1 on his best time. Renz saying on a cool Northern Lights evening. I mean, not a lot better nights, really. Northern Lights and F1 on your YouTube streaming app or wherever you fancy streaming it from. But Joshua Bashford, 4 tenths up so far, on course for a 29.3, which will put him up into 5th so far.
Yeah, no, that's an excellent job. Really, really good job. He'll be happy with that, I'm sure. He's currently watching Ghost, who's on his first flying lap, obviously late into the session. I think this is probably going to be his only lap as well. I don't think he's going to have time to get around after and get another lap in. So the only thing he could do is, if he's not entirely happy, is to come in the pits, quickly change and get back out again. But I suspect he'll just want to get a lap in to overcome the 3 guys that haven't actually been able to set a time yet and get himself at least 13th on the grid.
Yeah, absolutely. Josh Bashford goes up to 4th. What can Ghost do on his possibly only lap? 6th place, which is a pretty good effort considering he's come in and he's kind of under the cosh a little bit in terms of making sure he gets the time in. So good work from Ghost.
Yes, excellent work, and it'd be interesting to see how well that time stands up. Obviously, he's not going to have a chance to improve that now, but yeah, hopefully that will stand up well for him. He's got a good 3 tenths gap now on 7th place, so yeah, it'd be the pressure's on those guys to improve.
I've just found out where Renz is from. He's from Finland, which is why you can see the Northern Lights, and apparently it is pretty chilly up there, and I'm not surprised.
Yeah, I mean, I can't see the Northern Lights from here, I'm going to be honest. But there's a couple of aeroplanes have gone past, but that's about it. Unfortunately, that's the only lights I can see in the sky. They're not very green, they're not very beautiful, but yeah, that's what I'm limited to, unfortunately. But yeah, Joshua Bashford, I don't know if he was on the lap then. He's just bailed out of it to regen or not.
I believe he's on an in lap now.
Okay.
He just recently went up to 4th place, but something I do want to know, Owen, he tends to go a little bit out of sync with everyone. He tends to only do 2 runs, but he always comes out of the pits when everyone else is on their in laps. And he's normally one of the first people out on the next cycle. So I mean, just fancy maybe just a bit of clear track ahead of him, not having to work for track position and space to give himself the clearest possible run on his flying lap.
Yeah, I mean it's not a bad tactic, as you say. I guess the only issue you can come across is people that are on their out laps. But obviously they're not going to get in your way. They'll pull out the way. Well, hopefully they'll pull out the way. So yeah, it isn't a bad tactical thing to do.
Oh, and
really.
he's just spun.
That's not a good tactical thing to do. And it does look like he has a little bit of front wing damage from what I could see on the side of the road. So
he's missing his end plate, which means there's no way he's going to improve his time, and straight back in the pits and the end of qualifying for Owen after a spin on his out lap.
Yeah, a bit of a disaster that from Owen, just as we were talking up the tactics. But there we go. It is what it is. I think sometimes you just got to accept it, calm yourself down now before the race, and focus on that and improving.
On board with Reshka for his lap, because he's the first one to start his final lap now. Reshka, he's the first time he's not the quickest in the tier, but he's very consistent in terms of getting to the finish and taking points when they're on offer. And Ghost has already said in previous seasons he's a complete asset to their team in terms of setup, work and strategy. So it'll be interesting to see how Reshka does on his final flying lap, but it's looking a tidy one so far.
Yeah, definitely. I'm on board with Emir as well, who has just started his final flying lap. Currently a 10th up at the first sector, so slight improvement. Maybe just looking to bridge that gap slightly to Stinos. But yeah, only a 10th at the first sector. We'll be looking to try and maintain that as he comes over the Anderson Bridge right now. Just tricky hairpin here. Can be easy to go a bit too deep, get it a bit wrong. Second sector coming up right now. He's still 1.5 tenths up, so still improving.
Stuff Memir, go back to Reshka as he heads up towards the last couple of corners. He's about 4 tenths up on his time last time we checked through sector 2. See if he's got any more time in him. It's a 1:29.9, keeps him in the same place, but does improve his time. But back to you, Bruce, for Emir.
Yeah, just coming around the final corner now. And yeah, I did wonder if he just breaks slightly deep into one of the corners towards the end of the lap, but still improves by just under a tenth. A little bit of a buffer now to Stinos. And Stinos is slightly improving as well at the moment, but not enough as it stands.
We also have Merckx on a lap, who's ahead of Stinos at the moment. He's 0.19 up on his current time, so nowhere near enough improvement so far from the second of the Aston Martins. Into 16 and 17 goes the Aston. I don't know if you know how Stinos is doing after sector 2, Bruce.
He's pretty much identical to his previous lap at sector 2, so no improvement just yet, but I think he may have just touched the wall. I'm unsure, it may have been lag, but big spin and a wheel off for Stinos. I think he did drop a little bit of time from tapping the wall, maybe tried to make up for it in the last corner, and unfortunately his wheel is now sat on top of his car, which is, well, last time I checked, that's not where it's supposed to be.
And Ashtu puts the car into 4th place. Rockley just coming up to the line. He's currently 6th. And we'll find out very shortly where he finishes. He stays 6th place.
You just about see it on the steering wheel. So I think, just stay 6th. But still, an excellent effort from Rockley there.
But there you go. It's another pole position for Emir Djurakovic. Bruce, would you like to do the honours on the grid order?
Absolutely. So Emir carrying on once again. I think I've said this many times, but carrying on his excellent run of form with a pole position. Alongside him is the Ferrari of Stinos, keeping him honest once again. Merckx in the Aston 3rd with Ashtube in the Red Bull, an excellent 4th. Joshua Bashford 5th with Rockley 6th. Gotspook 7th. Pro Driver on his season debut in 8th. Ghost 9th. Martin 10th. Reshka 11th. Beyond the Ball 12th. Owen 13th. DeLol, this is his first race back since Imola, but unfortunately crashed out before he could set a lap. Same with MDJ, and also Conan also crashing out of qualifying.
Absolutely, and there's not been many times where the Aston Martins haven't started 1 and 2. Just going back through results at the moment, just to have a look. And I believe I've only found 2 instances so far. Yeah, there's only 2 times before tonight have the Aston Martins not started 1 and 2. So this is now the 3rd time this season. One of those times, sorry, was when Merck was unable to set a time.
So yeah, I mean, yeah, so 2 legitimate times basically, but yeah, no, it's good to see that there is someone else challenging them. Like I said, Stinos really, and MDJ last week were really in the battle with the Astons for the majority of the race, and yeah, I think it might be tricky for MDJ in this race, obviously with his crash in qualifying, but yeah, it'd be hopefully Stinos can have a go at the Astons, but obviously by being surrounded by both of them, it sort of puts him strategically in a bit more of a awkward position.
Yeah, absolutely. Just having a look at the chat, it looks like Renz is doing the hokey pokey with his support throw, and he's in 1 minute, out in the next. He's back in at the moment. He might go out during the race. You never know. There's all good fun about it. Obviously, Cameron Saul always support Owen. I think Cameron, whoever's in the McLarens, is where Cameron's support tends to lie. But Ren's saying he preferred the old layout, which just because it was a bit more technical. It was. I mean, I must admit, I prefer the old layout from my own point of view. But I don't know what your thoughts are, Bruce.
I mean, I can understand why people like the old layout. The left-hander under the hotel was always a tricky one, always easy to catch people out. But to be honest, I do actually prefer the new layout. I prefer the fact that it kind of half opens up another overtaking spot. It's not very easy, but it is a potential overtaking spot that you wouldn't have had previously. I think it just adds a bit more flow to the circuit, to be honest. But yeah, no, everyone has different things they like in racing circuits. But yeah, I mean, I kind of, in a way, nonplussed whether or not it was the old version or the new version. But yeah, I'm not against it, not for it. It's sort of basically, I'm just sitting on the fence, really. That's all I'm saying.
Yeah, absolutely. And we have been given the go-ahead from Emir for everyone to start ready up. And there's potential, by the looks of it, there could be some rain near the end. Okay. That's where the rumours are floating around.
I guess how much would also now depend on how many safety cars. But yeah, here we go. Take it away.
We have the 5 red lights, and we are green at the Singapore Grand Prix. The question is, who's got the best getaway? And it looks like Emir's going to get a good getaway because Stinos was wheel spinning, although he's got a good second phase. Through turn 1 we go. Slight touch between the Ferrari and the Aston Martin, sorry. And Stinos falling down the order. But otherwise clean getaway as we head up towards turn 5 and then down through 6 and towards 7. Got spooked, has gone round. That's at turn 5. But otherwise we're now back into kind of single file down towards one of these overtaking opportunities. Owen looking around the outside of Stinos through turn 7 up towards 8 at Stamford, and he should complete the move. It's very tight, just about room given. Great driving from the pair, and Stinos will claim back that place through Padang and down towards the sling for the first time. It looks like we've got Pro Driver looking on a move against Reshka. Oh, side by side between Owen and Stinos, just briefly through the sling. Not normally where you overtake someone, but we welcome all overtakes at any position. Over the Anderson Bridge through turn 13 and up the second DRS straight, which will come into effect in a couple of laps' time. Looks like Spooked was a little bit sideways coming out, but now are we still? No, it's side by side between Pro Driver and Reshka. Bit tight on the exit, bit of contact. They're still side by side up towards turn 16. Bruce will get a word on edge race very soon once everything calms down. Into the last sector we go, and it's still tight between Reshka and Pro Driver. Again, good driving, good space given. And now they've just about managed to go back into single file. It looks like everyone's now slightly in order, although I say that as it looks like Conan now looking for a move on Martin down towards turn number 1. That move is completed, and now it's over to Bruce so I can take a breather.
Yeah, thanks. DeLong in the pits. I think he may have been involved somewhere along a line there with got spooked. I didn't see exactly what happened. There was a few cars ahead. But yeah, other than that, really clean. But Owen, what an incredible start. He's having a go at Stinos again now. So looking for 7th place. honestly, the start Owen made off the grid is probably one of the best starts I've seen all season. He was already up to 10th before the first corner, and while everyone was battling on the inside, he's just driven straight around the outside of everyone, up into what was 8th at the time, and obviously now he's up to 7th past still. So yeah, fantastic work. I mean, himself and Reschke started on the mediums, everyone else on hard, so he's going to have a bit of a pace advantage now. Want to catch Ghost and Rockley further ahead, but a brilliant start, absolutely brilliant. And it looks like DeLol
spun at turn
has
5.
spun again, so yeah, a bit of a nightmare for DeLol, coming out on the fresh mediums now, cold mediums, after having to pit for a front wing.
I mean, with the amount of hard runners here, that kind of says to me that we are expecting rain, and we're expecting rain about the time when you want to pit for the hard tyre, so, or at least the hards can go until the rain period is what that's saying to me. And maybe Owen Reschke looking to maybe just take a bit of advantage and hope the rain either comes a bit earlier or not at all.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, yeah, could be that.
Pro driver down the inside of Reschke. Sorry, Bruce, I'll come back to you shortly. Down into turn 1 for the Alpine. He's going to complete the move through 3 a little bit sideways, and here comes Conan, his teammate, or teammate for the night anyway. Reschke fends that one off. Sorry, Bruce, back to you.
Yeah, no, absolutely. A good tactic normally is to drag those hards out till the rain comes. But we have seen it before where, I think already once this season, where people were trying to drag it out, and I think DeLol's spun again, so he lost his front wing as well, so struggling to get to grips with the new equipment, and that's a virtual safety car as DeLol has deposited his front wing on the track. But yeah, using the hards as a tool to get to the rain is always good. But as I said, we've seen it once this year where people were holding out for it, and it never came, or it never came substantially enough. So it did make an issue as DeLol hops over the curbs on the way into pit entry, struggling a bit there, and he may well see a retirement here. I'm not sure. When it looks like he's going to try and stick it out once
right
again.
On cue, so he retired.
And there you go. They're still replacing the wing anyway, why not? But yeah, shame for DeLol.
And it's not
for Ashtube.
Yeah, speeding under the virtual safety car. That means his delta was red when the track went back to green flag. So that's a disaster for Ashtube there, because that's at least 20 seconds time lost there. Martin and Bjorn de Boer side by side up towards turn 16, and Martin's going to claim that one for 12th.
Yeah, as you say, a bit of a disaster for Ashtube, not helped by the fact I think this pit lane is a slower speed limit, a bit like Silverstone, only 37 miles an hour. So yeah, a bit of a slow chug up the pit lane while you're serving that drive-through. He obviously has to take that, I believe, within 3 laps of receiving it. So yeah, I mean, ideally, in this situation, I'd want to be getting rid of it as quickly as possible, just in case the safety car comes. Because if a safety car comes now, you can't serve it, and then you still have to do it after. So, yeah, I would expect Ashtube to be coming in at the end of this lap to get rid of that.
Meanwhile, the Alpines are still fighting with Reschke as Conan now gets past the AlphaTauri. So that's up to 9th for Conan. Obviously, Pro Driver is a reserve, so he's not scoring for Alpine, he's just scoring for himself. So it's a bit awkward when you kind of have a reserve in your teammate's car, because you know they're kind of not really fighting for you, if you know what I mean, in terms of a team aspect. So it can be a little bit more tricky. Well, near the front, Emir's got a 1.7 gap to Merckx, who's got a 2.2 second gap to Joshua Bashford. Ashtube a further 4/10, but he does have that drive-through. Rockley having a good showing, and Ghost hanging on to the back of him so far. And the question is, how can Owen catch up to this train? Because obviously the DRS is active, and Owen doesn't have any assistance on that respect.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, you know, and yeah, Ashtube is now, I believe, in the pits to serve that drive-through as expected. But yeah, yeah, he's just got to keep plugging away here. It looks like the time's sort of stabilised. Really, he was around about 2.6 behind before the BSC. So he's just got to keep going and going and going here. Try and get within that 1 second. You know, there is that pace advantage on the mediums, but we all know also how quick Ghost and Rockley are at the moment, and obviously, as you say, with them having DRS, you know, it's going to be hard for Owen to close that gap, because they'll just be pulling like half a second down the main DRS straight.
You are MDJ, who's starting near the back, in fact possibly right at the back. He's now down the inside of Bjorn de Boer. Oh, that's tight, but again, good racing from Tier 1 so far. Just couldn't quite get past, and Reshka is kind of like this bottleneck at the moment here. He seems to be struggling around Singapore, even with those medium tyres, so people behind will want to clear him, but the problem is the hards just don't have that traction at this early stage of the race to get out of the corners like Reshka can.
No, absolutely. I believe in the other tiers we've seen it maybe around sort of lap 8 or 9 is when it sort of seems to stabilise, with the crossover on the tyres. So yeah, a few more laps yet before those hards start to pay dividends for the guys on the hard tyres. So yeah, Reshka, obviously he's going to be difficult to get past. This is all helping his teammate Ghost, who's further up the road. Less people behind him is obviously helpful to him as well. But Ghost now is right on the back of Rock Lee, coming into turn 1, but obviously Rock Lee with the DRS there means he can't quite get past him.
Yeah, we're looking backwards from Joshua Bashford on board. And the question is, can Rock Lee mount a challenge through this DRS zone? Because this is probably the best DRS zone on the circuit in terms of creating an overtaking opportunity, the longer of the DRS zones we have. And here comes that Alfa Romeo with the speed. Can he get the move done? The answer is no, he couldn't quite get anything done there as we then head through Stamford and towards Padang. Looks like ProDriver and Conan have swapped places. And Martin is still behind the AlphaTauri of Reshka for now.
Yeah, Reshka's doing an excellent job here of holding the guys up behind. I mean, that may have sounded wrong, but I mean in a nice way. But yeah, excellent defensive work from Reshka. Yeah, he's obviously going to want to cling on to a points position as long as he can. But yeah, it'd be interesting to see how long it takes before the guys behind start getting frustrated and maybe start taking some slightly bigger risks to get past, because as this continues, this is just hurting their races more and more.
Yes, absolutely. And welcome to ARL, who's in the chat, so obviously supporting his teammate. Unfortunately, he's wondering if he's cursed him because of that drive-through penalty that he has received and taken. Meanwhile, MDJ is all over the back of Beyond the Barrier. He just can't quite find that gap to get through. We know how quick MDJ is, but the problem is he's just kind of like stuck in this train.
Yeah, it makes it difficult. You could probably still make a move down the main straight, but when it comes to the other DRS zones, they're not really long enough when the car in front has DRS themselves.
And here comes Rock Lee for third place. Has the DRS, gets to slow down, but Joshua Bashford's make a slight bit of a switchback, and he will regain that podium place. Conan now has 3 seconds to his tally as MDJ finally looks like he's going to get past Beyond the Boa, and he moves up into 11th place.
Yeah, good move there. He was quite a way ahead going into the corner. Beyond the Boa did run wide. I think there was space given, so I don't know if that was just a solo run wide by Bjorn there. I don't think he was particularly pushed off. Steno setting the fastest lap, but obviously his race has not gone to plan, down into 15th place, and yeah, 36 seconds off of Ashtube in front, so he is going to be praying for a safety car big time at the moment.
Joshua Bashford a little bit sideways coming out of 14, and Ghost on the back of Rock Lee. I mean, the other element we kind of have to speak here, you look at the back of Rock Lee's car, and that started flashing then going up towards turn 16, which means he's low on ERS, and you'd think around Singapore it's quite an easy circuit to replenish your ERS, but it's actually probably one of the more difficult ones.
Yeah, definitely. I noticed on Monday you use some very small amounts. You look down and your ERS like a lap later, and it was still pretty much identical numbers, if not slightly less. There's a big slide there from Rockley out of turn 4 there. So yeah, he is pushing hard, but here comes Ghost.
Ghost looking to the outside. Will look to switch back. He does get the switch back, but he's going to be on the outside. Almost into the back of Joshua Bashford goes Rockley. I think that forced Ghost a little bit wide into the wall, and we have our first safety car of the night.
Yeah, I don't know really what happened there. There wasn't it didn't look to be contact, but I think it just put, as you say, it put Ghost off a little bit. lost his line and hit the wall, and yeah, that wheel detached very easily. I mean, we've seen other people hit the wall there and just get, some slight wing damage, some no damage at all. So I'm a little bit surprised to see the wheel detach, but there we are. And Stinos comes in for a new set of mediums and yeah, making advantage of that safety car.
I guess the problem here is obviously the weather forecasts you get in IRL are approximate; they are not perfect. Do you come in for some new mediums here? Because if you come in for mediums and it doesn't rain, you're going to have to pit again. They're not going to do 20 laps per se by the time the safety car comes back in.
Yeah, I mean, absolutely. You want to be on the right tyre, and I think at the moment, especially for the two Astons, they're so far ahead. They're double stacking.
Oh, Rock Lee almost at the end of the pit wall coming in to the pits. That was a bit close. Conan deciding to stay out on his hards.
Yeah, so the Astons, you're going to want to be on the medium tyre. It's the quickest tyre. We've seen people this week as well trying to stick it out on the hard tyres when everyone else has come in for sort of fresher, even fresher, identical compounds, and they've been sitting ducks really. So yeah, it absolutely makes sense to continue drive-through penalty for Stinos for speeding under safety car, and he's not going to be able to serve that under the safety car. So the safety car has saved him, and now that's all gone horribly wrong, and he's going to be in a very similar position once again once this race gets going.
Yeah, unfortunately, I wonder if he didn't have a delta initially, because obviously no one had caught up to the back of the safety car, but they were on that current lap, and maybe once Conan caught up to the back of the safety car, maybe that came into effect for him, and he just didn't quite see the notification. But that's a bit of a shame for Stinos, because that means he's going to be at least 20 seconds behind the field, 20-25 seconds.
Yeah, absolutely. It's yeah, a bad situation to be in. We have again though seen this week. I believe that takes your percentage of safety cars up to 75% now for the week. So, but we have seen this week safety cars do bring other safety cars with them very shortly after. So, yeah, it's definitely not one to give up on just yet. But yeah, not ideal, obviously. But yeah, interesting to see Conan, Martin, and Got Spooked have stayed out on the hard tyres.
I mean, is that a case potentially that they've seen, they've been in a train, they've seen how hard it is to overtake around here. So are they thinking, hang on, if there's rain scheduled to come, we want track position. Okay, you might not keep the likes of Emir or Merckx behind, but the rest of the field, based on how difficult it's been to overtake, there's every chance they could keep a higher position than they started with this safety car just by the difficulty defending. And then when everyone is theoretically going to come in for wet tyres, they're all going to be on the same strategy at that point.
Yeah, every chance that's the case. Like you say, if they're fighting a bit further down, as I believe they were. I think Conan and Martin were around the edge of the points sort of area, weren't they? So yeah, I mean, maybe for them, not a bad decision to just roll the dice. Like you say, if they'd have come in like everyone else, they'd still be 10th, 11th, 12th area. So yeah, maybe, as you say, not a bad decision maybe to just take that gamble. If it doesn't pay off, it doesn't pay off. They're not really going to be any worse off than they were initially. So yeah, maybe the sensible choice for those guys. But as you say, difficult to overtake round here. And I keep saying, as we've seen this week already, but we have seen this week already, people on fresher tyres, it's still not easy to get past around this circuit.
Absolutely. So if you have just joined us, welcome to the Invictus Racing League Tier 1 in partnership with gridfinder.com and Venturi Studios. This is round number 9 at the Singapore Grand Prix. And we have our first safety car, which was brought out by, unfortunately, an incident between Rock Lee and Ghost. Ghost, unfortunately, clipping the wall and taking off the front left tyre. Actually, the complete wheel hub came with it as well, to be fair, but yeah, so that's where we are at, and Stinos has picked up a drive-through penalty for speeding in that safety car. To a degree, though, this has brought Astrid back into the mix. We know he's got good pace. He'll be looking to get back through the field after his earlier drive-through.
Yeah, definitely. As you say, that's helped him out. So yeah, it's a good chance to start again. Obviously not from where he really wants to be in the field, but yeah, still a long way to go. We're only a third the way through this race now, so plenty of time for it all to chop and change once again.
Yeah, I think we're going to get another lap of safety car here. I've got Ghost's point of view here for that instance, and yeah, he's obviously been slightly pushed wide by Rockley, and he has literally just clipped the left-hand wall, and the tyres decided it's made the whole suspension struts and everything just seems like it's being made of chocolate instead of carbon fibre or whatever they use for them.
Yeah, I mean, I literally just watched it myself as well, and I mean, I'd like to iterate there was no contact between the two drivers. A really gentle touch. As I said, we've seen people hit the wall harder than that this week and get away with no damage at all. So, yeah, a big shame for Ghost. Yeah, very unexpected, and I'm fully understanding his shock at exactly just what's happened.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I can only digress from that it's the angle that he's hit the wall at that's caused it to do that, which is bizarre, but unfortunately that's what's occurred here. Ren's saying that Martin now doesn't have Reshka in front of him. We might see some true pace from Martin now. However, I think that true pace could look a little bit slow with the Aston Martin behind him on medium tyres and with the driver of Emir.
Yeah, I mean, Martin's priority here really off the restart is to try and get past Conan as quickly as we can, but obviously we know Conan's no slouch, so as are none of the guys in this tier, but yeah, Martin's going to want to get past Conan just to sort of gap the Astons behind him, and yeah, that's going to be priority for him. I was just looking at the penalties. The only other penalty on here, a safety car is in at the end of this lap. Conan, who's currently in the lead, has 3 seconds worth of penalty, so yeah, not a penalty he can shift at a pit stop. Unfortunately for him, that's going to sit with him to the end of the race.
So here we are, and just a welcome to Daryl and Atsu, who's in the chat. Before we go back to green flag racing, we will be going very shortly. The safety car just going through turn 17. Question is, when does Conan go? He decides to go now, and he's got to be careful because that might limit his throttle by the gate, which I think it has done a little bit, but he has got a good getaway for the restart as we head up through the last couple of corners. And Martin 8/10 behind Conan. That's a fantastic restart from the Alpine. Emir will be looking for a move straight away, surely into turn 1. No, thinks better of it. Merckx, however, down the inside of Got Spooked, and 4th place as he chases after his teammate here. This is the best opportunity Merck's going to have, I think, of catching and passing his teammate. And that's Owen's gone round. He's gone round at turn 3. Don't know whether there was any contact or not. But the McLaren was round. He's now at the back of the field. Joshua Bashford up to 5th as he gets past Got Spooked. And here comes Rockley, the team. Surely these two have to work together. Yeah, I thought Got Spooked might just release Rockley there. Good strategical play through the teams. But other than Owen, it looks like a fairly clean getaway.
Yeah, absolutely. As you say, Rockley and Spooked were very side by side there in the two Alphas, but yeah, sensible driving for Got Spooked to back out of that and let his teammate on the fresher medium tyres to have a go at the guys in front. But Emma still sat behind Martin, but an excellent restart from Conan. 1.5 seconds up from Martin already, so yeah, brilliant. I think Martin's going to be a bit of a sitting duck down to here. The traction of that Aston is far superior. Question is, can Merckx follow through as well?
The answer is yes. We also just saw a really nice move from Pro Driver across the Anderson Bridge and into the turn 13 hairpin. MDJ's going to go down the inside of Reshka. Everyone looking to make their moves now. Joshua Bashford now also getting past Martin. And Rockley will be looking down the inside. He brakes and goes down the inside of turn 16. He'll claim that place. And Martin going backwards beyond De Boer and Ashtube side by side. Ashtube will have the inside for the final couple of corners. And it looks like Stinos will be coming in to serve that drive-through that he got under the safety car. But Pro Driver now down the inside of Martin. Martin, as you say, looking like a little bit of a sitting duck now on those older, hard tyres.
Absolutely, a big slide from Pro Driver there, just ahead of Martin. But yeah, Conan's done well here. You know, he has gapped the other guys that have done the same strategy as him, of staying on the hard tyres. 5 medium shod tyres between them, and Emir not quite able to get past on the way down to the end of the DRS straight there. And the problem for Emir is now he won't get past this corner, he won't get past the next one. He's kind of going to have to wait, really. He may get a run down to the old sling here, and it looks like he is, and he's going to go for that, and that's going to be a done move, I think. And I think a little bit of contact, nothing massive though. I think everyone's got away with it. And yeah, Merckx is going to want to really get past Conan as quickly as he can now.
Yeah, you got a three-way scrap between Bjorn, Ashtube and Reshka. Ooh, that's interesting, between the McLaren and the Alfa Romeo through the turn 13 hairpin, and Rockley, he's got ahead of Joshua Bashford now as MDJ gets past Martin. Oh, here comes Bashford right back up the inside, a little bit of contact with the wall. Rockley probably won't be too happy with that, but Pro Driver's going to gain out of this as he now moves up in towards 4th place as he's side by side between Bashford.
We have rain.
And we have rain.
So yeah, I think the Rockley did throw it up the inside rather abruptly on Joshua. So I think Joshua, his move was very much like, if this is how we're going to race, this is how we're going to race, and just repaid the favour a little bit.
Owen taking the gamble here. He's going into the pit, and I'm not surprised because the DRS has been disabled, I think. Has it been disabled? I think. Oh no, it's been enabled. Sorry, that's what I thought it came up to say it was disabled. But Owen decided he's going to go early. I mean, we know this game sometimes the rain comes in and it comes in quickly.
Yeah, and also, in our tier on Monday, it rained at the end of quali, and it literally within half a lap, it was absolutely soaking. So, and there is definitely a lot of grip loss here for the guys at the front. Mert closing on Emir at the moment, but Owen could pay dividends from that. I don't know how much it's going to make a difference, but I wouldn't be surprised to see him a lot further up in the 13th position he was when he came into the pits.
And you can see the droplets now hitting the ground on the floor. This is how wet it's getting. I'm surprised that we haven't had DRS disabled yet, because I can also start to see a bit of spray, which is a key indicator that it is now time for inters. The two Alpines side by side. Conan bails out down the escape road, and Bashford hits the wall. DRS now disabled. I think Owen's pulled off a bit of a flyer.
There is a lot of struggling going on, as you said, down here at the moment. Virtual safety car, so it sort of nullified the race, unfortunately for Owen as well. That's not what he wanted to see. He wanted to see this race cracking straight on with no carnage at all. So this gives everyone a chance to maybe have a slightly cheaper pit stop. But still, I think Owen's still going to...
from Rockley. He's almost ended up getting outside the pit lane. Everyone's coming in as expected. Unfortunately, Bashford's going to have a new front wing. That's going to cost him positions. But yeah, like I said, this is not going to be what Owen wanted. I mean, you have to say he pulled off the right strategy. He pulled it off to perfection, all bar this carnage at turn 14 and the virtual safety car.
Yeah, absolutely.
And we're back to green flag.
So, big shame really there for Owen. As you say, that was a strategic masterclass, but unfortunately the incident, as you say, between the Alpine and McLaren has, caused that to not pay off as much as it would, but
he's still
up to 11th. So, and I expect he'll get his teammate here as well, because he's on slightly more warmed up tyres. So yeah, he's still gained from that, but I think if it wasn't for that virtual safety car, he'd potentially be up around sort of 5th or 6th at the moment.
And possibly even higher, because the grip level that dropped was huge. But I mean, it shows you sometimes take that gamble, and if it starts to rain, just nip in the pits. Take that risk if you know the rain's here to stay as well. And I think that's the bigger thing as well, is if it looks like the rain is scheduled to stay and it's not just a brief shower, there's more to gain from potentially going in slightly early for it, as Owen to a degree has shown.
Yeah, absolutely. As we said, a big shame, but up to 10th, he has gained 3 places. Still, even on these inters, the guys here are struggling to get the power down. It looked like Reska went a bit deep into the hairpin there, but did sort of scupper Conan's exit a little bit, so couldn't really make the most of that. But it's still very, very difficult to get around the circuit in the wet conditions. I think we may see some more action yet.
Yeah, and as Martin picks up 3 seconds, unfortunately. Looks like he just went a little bit wide. As Conan down the inside of Reshka, turn 16, a little bit of wheel-to-wheel contact. They're still side by side. Conan drifting through 17, trying to emulate our own Colin McOwen there. But not quite getting past Reshka. Yeah, Reshka doing an absolute masterful defence this evening. In many a battle. The other thing to note is who here has opted for a wet setup and who has opted for a dry setup, because that could change things. As MDJ looking to get past Pro Driver, looking to the outside, but nothing happening there unless you get the switch back. Gets a bit sideways, and that will end that little challenge.
Absolutely, no slight bit of contact there from MDJ, but yeah, once again, I mean, MDJ proving he's got the pace here. He's obviously had a terrible qualifying with the crash before he set a lap, but you know the randomness of this circuit and of a street race, it's popped him. And Emir's out. Emir's out. He's crashed at the Anderson Bridge.
He's gone board. Oh, yeah, he's gone actually on the bridge as well. That's a huge thing for the championship. Safety car is back out.
Yeah, Merck will now in a prime position to make the most of that, but a massive surprise, obviously just caught out by the slippy track. And yeah, I mean, if I was in this field, I'd be thinking now, yeah, if that can catch someone with the talents of Emir, then everyone is at the mercy of the circuit right now.
Yeah, I mean, the question is now, do you look to go back in and get yourself a fresh set of Inters? Because, I mean, they should last to the end of the race. However, as we know in previous races, they do, when they hit that cliff, they do go off pretty badly.
I mean, yeah, for the likes of maybe Martin, because he won't lose a place to Stinos by coming in under safety car, I don't think. Maybe Martin, Stinos and Gotspook, you may see them come in for another set of mediums to try and make the most of it. It's not going to damage their race, you know, at all. But it looks like Martin's staying out, so we'll be interested to see whether Stinos and Gotspook take advantage of that option.
Have a look. I mean, I guess the other argument is that the tyres are only a couple of laps old, but Stinos is coming into the pits, just about staying in the pit lane as he Tony Hawks it along the curb into the pit lane.
Yeah, not the best way of getting into the pits, but maximum points from the judges.
I wouldn't advise bumping and grinding into the pit lane. It doesn't do your floor any good.
Gotspook choosing to continue round, so yeah, not coming in for a fresh set of mediums, which will drop Stinos to the back of the pack, but obviously he's going to have the fresher tyres come the restart,
I mean,
albeit by only a couple of laps. But
if he puts on mediums, I'd be impressed at this stage.
Did I say mediums?
You did, yeah.
Just on autopilot, to be honest. So yeah, no. So he's on the into mediums. So yeah, no. Let's try intermediates instead. That's probably going to work better. We have seen some strange tyre selections this year, but maybe not that strange.
Ren's saying it potentially 4 wets could come into play tonight. I mean, it depends how this rain goes. But if it gets any heavier, I think there is a chance of 4 wets. But I think at the current rate that it's falling, I think it may stay into to the end if it stays like this. It all depends on the weather, doesn't it?
Yeah, it does depend on the weather, absolutely. But yeah, it's not really raining any harder, I wouldn't have said. But I'm unsure as to how well this track holds the water. You may see someone towards the end of the race rolling the dice on the wet tyre, but yeah, I think you probably see quite a mass exodus to the pits if it did go to wet conditions, because the last thing you want is to be on the inters when it gets to full wet. It's tricky enough as it is. It would be nigh on impossible, I think, to get around on the inters. So yeah. Yeah, we shall see. I mean, there's still a long way to go. We're still only just over halfway through this race. Quite a lot has happened, and I think quite a lot will still happen.
Yeah, Martin's just come in for a new set of boots. So he thinks it's probably a good idea to have a fresh set of tyres for the end of this race. I mean, if the game was realistic, and we do have red flags in this, if we ended up reaching wet tyres, in real life they'd probably just go, we're going to pull in the pits and stop for half an hour. Because it's very rare we ever see wet tyres in F1 nowadays.
Yeah, I believe they are a show tyre that are they're normally just put on a show stand. They do exist. They don't do a lot. But yeah, obviously in game the wets are suitable. I'm yet to see a red flag in this game yet. So I mean, it'd be interesting if one did happen, but I don't think it's going to happen anytime soon. Having said that, I tend to say things and then they do happen. So who knows? Joshua Bashford currently looks like he's having a bit of fun sliding the car around at the moment on the tighter corners.
I mean, his teammate is Colin McCowan, so maybe he's been teaching him a few tricks to keep himself entertained. Safety car coming in this lap. And Merckx with...
Not bad. Stinos, he's just coming up to the back of the pack now on warmer tyres, so a good situation for Stinos now.
Absolutely, and look how close Conan is to the back of Merckx. He's ready to get going here, isn't he? And MDJ looking to the side of the Alpine, but the problem is, there's no point doing that because you can't overtake till the start-finish line.
Absolutely, that's Pro Driver, but
sorry,
yeah. We're not used to seeing two Alpines, that's the problem. So, but yeah, will Merckx go early? And looks like he's leading. He's going now, I think.
Oh, I wouldn't have said that was a great restart. I mean, he's got a slight gap, but it's not perfect because he didn't quite get the traction he wanted. Oh, as Pro Driver has a bit of a slide through the last corner, that's going to potentially leave him vulnerable to MDJ behind. Can't quite do it. And everyone just single file down to turn one as they feel out the grip. Oh, I say that as Stinos looks to the inside and Martin, almost a bit of contact, but they will get through cleanly for now, through turn 3, through 4 and up towards 5. No one really having a great look at overtaking at the moment. I think at this stage they're still trying to feel out the grip because they haven't really done much laps on these intermediate tyres as MDJ right behind Pro Driver.
Yeah, Stinos now going past Martin. Yeah, I think you're right, JPH. I think really now this is a time as Gotspeed gets a 3-second penalty. This is a time where Stinos right up the back of Gotspeed, nearly contact, but just about slowed it down in time. Yeah, now is the time they're all going to be wanting to see what they've got underneath them. You could lose it all so quickly here. But MTJ could be the one to watch out for here.
Oh, an Alpine in the wall. Conan gets away with it. Just I say gets away. He has no front wing, but he's still running, which is the main thing for him. No safety car for that, though.
Yeah, a shame for Conan there. But yeah, the MDJ, he was looking quick on the inters before the safety car came out. So he'll want to clear Pro Driver here.
Oh, Joshua Bashford. He's gone straight on at turn 14, and he'd done that before when it was wet on the slick tyres. And we have another safety car.
So this will be a blessing for Conan, really, because he's knocked his front wing off, which in some occasions we've seen this year will automatically bring out a safety car. It didn't, but now he's got a safety car anyway, so he can come in, replace that front wing, and get to the back of the field. But yeah, these conditions absolutely treacherous. Will be interesting. I'm assuming he's going to stick to the inters, but will he just try and be a little bit different? Maybe put the wets on for one sighter lap here under safety car to decide whether he thinks they might be better, or will he stick to the inters?
Looks like intermediate tyres going on to the Alpine. So, not going to try anything. I guess the problem is if he puts on the wets and he catches up and the safety car decides to only do one lap, you're kind of stuck on that decision, and if it's wrong, you can kind of pay the price a little bit. But on the other hand, if it turns out right, you could gain a huge amount of positions.
Yeah, it's that sort of situation, as you say, it's knowing how long that safety car is going to be out there for. You'd probably have to say with how far Conan is behind at the moment, it wouldn't come in inside. I don't think he's quite going to catch them. It's going to be touch and go, I think. But yeah, I would suspect maybe another lap under safety car. I think, you know, there's every chance it could be like this now to the end of the race. Lots of sporadic on-off virtuals and full safety cars now, as people try and get their head around these conditions.
Yeah, I mean, and we were saying earlier, like the more safety cars we have, obviously, the longer this race is going to go on, the more the rain is going to affect it. I mean, if I'm right in remembering, I'm pretty certain the race on Monday for Tier 4, I'm pretty certain lasted for about 57 minutes.
It definitely felt like that, that's for sure. Yeah,
yes, it lasted about 58 minutes, and that was in completely dry conditions with about 3 to 4 safety cars.
Yeah, it's one of those tracks, isn't it? Like you say, it's a long lap anyway. It's a lot of laps for the length of circuit as well. Well, it's just obviously it's proportional miles, but it's just that much slower in places, this circuit, that it brings the lap times up and makes it the long race that it is. Obviously, safety car now going for another lap. As Conan's still 8.5 seconds behind the pack at the moment, but yeah, he'll be on the back of the pack at this lap, so I would fully expect to be going at the end of this current lap 20.
Yeah, and this is going to help everyone. I mean, obviously, Conan now on fresh tyres. Martin, everyone, obviously, apart from Conan who had to pit. Martin, the one with the youngest tyres, and those that haven't come in, got some new boots. It's going to be interesting because with the safety cars, it almost kind of extends the life of your tyres a little bit. So we're now thinking that these inters should now last to the end, no problems. It just depends how much you will spin them and take the life out of them early.
Yeah, absolutely. Obviously, Conan's in a good position now because his tyres are a lot fresher than the guys in front of him, bar Martin. But yeah, this will obviously help them make that decision as to whether or not they need to make another stop for inters. Obviously, only the guys currently on the tyres will know exactly what their wear rate is like. But yeah, if the wear rate is high on the inters, coming in for that fresh set could make a massive difference in your lap times. So again, another factor really to play into this race, whether or not the single set of intermediates are going to be enough.
Yeah, should be interesting. The rain's still falling, and is it me or did it just? I don't know whether it's just the camera we're on, but it does look a little bit heavier than it was earlier.
I don't know if it's the speed of the cars as well going around maybe gives that impression. Hard to know, but it's definitely still wet enough, I think, and I don't think the guys out there want it to get any wetter at the moment.
Safety car in this lap. If you have just joined us, this is the Invictus Racing League Tier 1 in partnership with gridfind.com and Venturi Studios. We have 10 laps remaining in this race. That was the third safety car of the night. That one brought out by, unfortunately, Joshua Bashford hitting the wall at turn 14 and retiring. Question is, I think Merck might change his restart strategy here this time. The one he'd done coming out of the corner of turn 17 didn't really work, probably as well as he would have wanted. And yeah, he goes a little bit later than he did last time just to get the traction, although I say that, but ProDriver is still sticking with him. Through the final corner we go, and MDJ still staring at the back of that Alpine down towards turn number 1. Nothing doing there, but Owen looking down the inside of Reshka. Still side by side, good driving from the pair. Owen should get this move done, you think, but Reshka on the outside should be able to get on the throttle barrier. Oh, bit of contact, round goes Reshka.
Yeah, that was yeah, a really awkward one, that. I'd have to go back and watch that, but it looked like there was just a bit of concertina in, and unfortunately got spooked. I think it was that hit Resch kind of had nowhere to go, unfortunately. He was just sort of, he's right behind him, and then all of a sudden he just slowed because of what had happened. So yeah, big shame for him. Rockley did actually go to have a look at the inside of Ashtube before they'd gone across the safety cut, before they'd gone across the start line, but I think he remembered last minute he couldn't do that and backed out of it just as they got to the apex of the first part of that last turn.
Yeah, absolutely. Ashtube now on the back of Beyond the Bow. I mean, you have to say it's been a good recovery drive this from Ashtube after having to do a sort of a drive-through for speeding under a virtual safety car earlier tonight. He's up into 5th. Owen as well, up into 7th at the moment. And here's McLaren. He's a second behind Rock Lee. And he's under pressure from Stinos, but Stinos can't do anything. MDJ has decided to take to the escape road. And he moves to the back of the pack.
Yeah, big shame that for MDJ, who's looking very, very racy tonight. I mean, maybe this is a sign that it is getting wetter and it's getting harder as Stinos and Owen are fighting.
What a move from Stinos in the Ferrari around the outside of turn 16. That's very impressive. And Martin now having a look at McLaren, backs out of it. I think Owen just ran a bit wide, just on the off chance that Martin was still there. I think Martin's now going to get this move because of Owen running wide and got spooked in the pits.
Yeah, Martin just scaring Owen off the road with it. A bit harsh that for Owen. He had to give the space because Martin was on the inside. He's just run wide. And obviously picked up, that's his 3rd track limits warning. To be honest, I think that one's probably fightable, because if he'd have tried staying on the track, he'd have had contact. So yeah, very, very harsh on Owen, that one.
Got spooked going on to the intermediates. Reshko being for at least a front wing and a new set of intermediates for him. So obviously it's not wet enough yet for the full wets. Meanwhile, near the front, Ashtube has dropped off the back of Beyond the Bow. It's a bit of a shame for him because that fight is now for a podium position. Going around the outside of Martin. That's through Padang, and up into 8th goes the Alpine on his recovery.
And yeah, I think this will show the difference between those fresher mediums. Now it'll be interesting to see how quickly Conan closes that gap to Owen, but I think it's going to be pretty quick.
Yeah, I think Conan putting on those intersofts compared to your intermediums, is it?
Yeah, did I go softs again?
No, you went mediums again.
I went mediums again, oh my days.
I'd say I like the confidence you have in slick tyres. I like the audacity of that.
I think I've got too old, unfortunately, and I'm forgetting things and I'm forgetting myself. But yeah, I'll try to remember they're not on slick tyres at the moment. Yeah, just keep correcting me because it's fine.
Stinos down the inside, bit of contact, more contact, both of them off the road. And I think they're going to sort out between themselves as they have. Rock Lee will continue on a slight tap from Stinos going into turn 1, but that's lost him a crucial bit of time. There's a yellow flag in the last corner, I'm not quite sure why.
So MDJ spun it towards the end of the lap, and he's just tried to come in the pits. He's run wide, he's surfed across the pit lane entry curbs, and had no choice but to go straight on.
I think that was a little bit unnecessary, that from Rock Lee. He's tried to come across Stinos, who's been looking to go down his outside. Unfortunately, Stinos was there, and Rock Lee ended up in the wall. No safety car has presented itself, but that's unfortunate. And Owen now back past Stinos up into the top 5. But yeah, I kind of get the feeling that Rock Lee probably didn't need to do that one. But that won't be for us to do. Stinos has gone off at the turn 13 hairpin after the Anderson Bridge. Just come into view really wide into the wall and damage to the front wing.
Yeah, M plate operator. MDJ, sorry, I was saying before the Rock Lee incident, MDJ had spun it, then surfed across the pit lane entry. He's now cutting all the corners, he's now sideways everywhere. I think he's going to be coming in the pits and retiring very shortly.
It'd be a bit of a shame for MDJ because he does have a lot of pace in him, and you know he can get good results. I think he's gone off again. Oh, and now he's clipped the wall. It's all going wrong for the Williams. Meanwhile, it looks like we're going to have a 3-way fight for third at some point because Bjorn is close to pro driver and Ashtube's only now 4/10 behind the Mercedes. So this is becoming quite interesting for the final podium spots. Merck's 6.5 seconds up. I think MDJ is just returning to track. It's been a bit of a miserable night for that Williams.
In the pits, intermediate tyres, and a new front wing for him. I don't know how many pit stops Stinos has had to make now.
Oh, Pro Driver's gone wide. That's through Memorial Corner at turn 7, and he's going to lose 2 places now. He's outside of the podium. Meanwhile, Ashtube clips the wall through Stanford. Down towards Padang we go, and Ashtube should keep that position from Pro Driver. Though Pro Driver is going to get a good run as we head towards the sling. I think he's a little bit too far back. MDJ, as suspected, retiring from the session, which means if everyone finishes, they all get points now.
Absolutely. I mean, yeah, this race tonight has really decimated the field so far. Still 6 laps to go after this one as well, so it may not be over yet. But yeah, excellent run from Ashtube at the moment into third, obviously taking advantage of Pro Driver's mistake there, sticking it around the outside, and like I said, I think he may have just clipped the wall but got away with no damage, which is incredible when you consider Ghost ripped his wheel clean off on it in a similar incident earlier on.
The question is, can Ashtube get up to the back of Bjorn de Boer now? He's 1.2 behind. Also, look at the gap to Owen. Owen only 1.2 behind Pro Driver now. Now, obviously, that 3-car fight there, obviously, they've all got time penalties. But again, you just never know if someone's going to try and fight one of their penalties. So really, you don't really want to lose position to them, but you don't really want to lose too much time to them either.
Absolutely, and as we said, Conan on the slightly fresher intermediates at the moment. He is catching this group. You know, he's part of this group. It's going to be a big battle for second place here, I think.
Absolutely, actually 1.2 still. So Bjorn de Boer keeping that gap steady at the moment. Owen now 6/10 behind Pro Driver, but he's got a very quick Conan looking down his inside. Conan thinks better of it. Out of Memorial Corner and into Stamford.
Yeah, we're looking here at SFR Martin is also catching up, so this is going to be a 6-car fight for second place soon.
Loving the helicopter shot here as we head through the sling. Oh, Conan almost got a run out of the sling into turn 11. So we head over the Anderson Bridge for the 26th time tonight. Not the 26th time at full pace, though. That's definitely one to note. Up towards turn 14 we go. And it just looks like Conan doesn't quite have the grip out of the hairpin that Owen does after the Anderson Bridge, because now Owen all over the back of Pro Driver.
Yeah, hard to know whether that's just a confidence thing. Maybe Owen just feeling a bit more confident on the power, but you know, you'd expect the 6-lap difference in the tyres to be paying off for Conan right now. You know, maybe it's just a case of Conan just resetting for another attack in a lap or two's time. Yeah,
Owen gets all twitchy out of the final corner. It was a good catch, but I mean, that kind of shows you just how easy and wide some of the top guys are having issues. As Owen gets sideways again out of 3. Again, catches the car very nicely. He's getting a lot of experience points in drifting here.
Beyond Ball has sort of weathered the storm of Ashtube coming, although Ashtube now closing within 6/10. I think a bit of ERS used maybe down that straight to close up to Bjorn.
Here comes Conan. He switches back on Owen, and he's should have the grip, but he's going to go side by side into turn 8. A tiny bit of contact between the two. And Owen just about holding station at the moment here. You have to, I believe, penalty-wise, just have a quick look. Yes, they're all 3 seconds. So for Owen, this is absolutely position with Conan.
Yeah, and it will position with Martin as well, with him having his penalty. So obviously Stinos is a long way behind. He's the next car without penalty. So yeah, this fight here in 5th, 6th, 7th is a legitimate fight, but you'd have to think that some of these guys have the ability to, once they get past Pro Driver, if they can get past, Owen goes a bit deep into that one, it's going to give Conan a chance.
A bit of wheel spin from Owen. That's definitely going to allow Conan to the inside of turn 16.
Oh, very deep under brakes there from Conan. Big slide, Owen comes back out in front.
Here comes Martin. Are they almost making it 3 wide? to some degree, it's probably a good thing that Conan didn't make that move, as you'd have to feel that he'd have had to give it back. Although it looks like Owen's just had to relinquish position.
Yeah, I think that may be because even though Owen got pushed wide, he kind of rejoined after the corner back in front, so I think he didn't really have much choice. I think the game was instructing him to do that. So I suspect that one may get fought at a later date. But I mean, all this has done is relieve the pressure on ProDriver now. All this fighting, ProDriver's gone from having 3 cars within a second or so behind him to now having a 2-second gap back to Conan.
Yeah, I mean, you'd have to think if you're Conan, you'd probably be better off kind of trying to relinquish the place back to Owen, just on the off chance, because it was a little bit pushy off. But as you say, that's to be dealt with by a later date or time. Ashtube was about half a second behind Beyond a Bow, but he's now back up to about 8/10, so that kind of fluctuating right now.
Yeah, you have to say at the moment now, with 3 laps to go after this one, Merck currently 12.5 seconds up the road. It's looking good for him and a chance to close that gap to his teammate Emir now. Yeah, I believe it's about a 23-point gap going into tonight, so looking like that's going to be a 15-point gain tonight. I don't know who's got the fastest lap. It's currently Stinos with the fastest lap, and that will remain to the end of the race. So, yeah, so a 15-point gain looking good for Merck at the moment, with 3 laps still to negotiate.
Yeah, and when it's wet like this, I mean, I think the rain has lightened up a little bit, but even with the wet track, 3 laps, it's definitely no gimme, that one.
No, and we've obviously seen his own teammate crash out solo, so yeah, it's all sort of spread out a bit now. Martin's still close behind Owen at the moment. Conan is starting to close that gap back up to ProDriver now, though.
Questions for the Alpines. Will they work together? Because obviously ProDriver isn't scoring for the Alpine team, being a reserve. But Conan, so in reality, ProDriver doesn't necessarily have to play the team game. Because he really isn't obliged to in that sense.
Absolutely, but I think also by the same token, with ProDriver not being in his team, he might as well be driving a pink and yellow polka dot car. He's just going to want to finish as high up as he possibly can. I don't think the fact that they are both in the Alpines is going to make much difference to this battle. ProDriver also, I think these two Alpines are now starting to close on Ashtube slightly.
Yeah, very so. I mean, it makes you wonder if Ashtube's just taking a little bit too much out of his tyres too early. Because he is dropping off the back of Beyond a Bow a bit. Might as well very much follow the leader at this stage, although you have to feel Conan may start to have a look at ProDriver in terms of getting a move made.
Yeah, I get the feeling this is all still going to concertina up a little bit. 2 laps to go now. And Merck starts his penultimate lap. Yeah, Ashtube not really got the confidence through that last corner. Dropped a 10th or 2 there to ProDriver. It looks like he's struggling for grip a little bit.
We don't really talk a lot about the Assassins because they're normally off the road, and let's face it, Merck Diaz, I mean, 16 seconds already up the road. I mean, it's a phenomenal pace from Merck. That smiley face at the end of his name is definitely what he's feeling right now.
Yeah, I mean, I think, it is 16 seconds. Got to give credit to Bjorn de Bordeaux. He's not raced much at all this season, I believe, has he? And to come back in tonight, when was the last race that Bjorn de Bordeaux did? It's been a while, hasn't it? So
I shall have a quick look. His last race was Imola, same as his teammate of DeLong.
Yeah, so a fantastic effort on return to currently be running second. So no shame at all in being this far behind Merck. He's had an excellent race. As have all the guys currently fighting for these top few places. But yeah, I mean that is quite an impressive performance from Merck, and I'm surprised that he's just not really backed it off the pace really towards the end of the race. He seems to just still be going around a decent sort of percentage push. So yeah, quite impressive as you say. But kudos to the guys behind for still, going as well as they are.
Yeah, so I think with Merc, I wonder if it's that thing that if you start to back off, that's when mistakes can happen because you're not quite concentrating as much. We've known it. We've known it very much in the past with previous races. That as soon as someone decides they're going to back off a little bit to try and be safe, they suddenly make a mistake because they're not quite on it. So I wonder if that's why Merc is potentially staying on it, just to keep that focus as we head on to the last lap of this race. And Pro Driver now just 3/10 behind the Red Bull, and he's looking at a podium.
Yeah, he's looking very racy. I think we could see some action here down this straight.
Look at Owen.
No longer a DRS straight.
Owen just 4/10 behind Conan. Conan has a big wobble coming out of 5. It's not quite going to give Owen the opportunity, though. There's a good save nonetheless. I guess the other thing for Conan here is that if he fights with Pro Driver, they obviously could open the door to Owen, and they've got 3-second penalties as it is, so they're not going to keep the positions they gain.
No, absolutely. Yeah, Pro Driver, he's going to have to go for it in a slightly unorthodox position. I think didn't quite have the run down the DRS straight there.
Contact between the Alpines.
Contact.
That was a bit of a half-hearted move, I think, from Conan. He was a bit too far back and just decided to linger on the quarter of Pro Driver, and Pro Driver is not going to be a happy bunny about that one. And it's potentially caused wing damage to Owen, who really had nowhere to go. But Conan up into 4th, and that has just released the pressure off of Ash. But here comes across the line. It is Merc to take the victory in the Aston Martin. Owen's crashed. Beyond a Boa, a fantastic race from him. I'm not sure in terms of positions gained. 10 places gained by the Merc. 12th to 2nd. Beyond a Boa finishes 2nd with Ash Tube rounding out the podium. Conan in 4th for now, but that's going to be taken by Pro Driver as he crosses the line. Conan 5th, Martin 6th, Got Spooked will cross the line in 7th with Stinos in 8th. I'm still not quite sure what happened to Owen. I don't know whether there was any contact or anything like that, but Stinos across the line in 8th. Reshka, who, I mean, fair play to Reshka, he has stayed in this race throughout every sort of trouble he's had. He's not been the quickest, but he's going to walk away here with 2 points to his name.
Yeah, as you say, not quite gone to plan to what obviously he'd have liked, I'm sure, but yeah, 2 points is still, you can't complain at that. It's perseverance, is excellent. We've seen now, assuming Reshka does get through his last few corners, hopefully he does, fingers crossed. We lost 7 cars tonight in this race, so to just get to the end, I think, is an achievement in itself. It's clearly looked like a very difficult race, as we've just seen now from Owen on that last lap as well.
It'd be interesting to know what happened to Owen, because that was a bit of a weird one. It looked like he'd gone down the escape road.
The car was a long way down there.
Conan picking up driver of the day. He made 11 places tonight. Obviously, everything is provisional. There is Merckx. He is one happy man. 15 points he's going to take out of his teammate. And the driver's title, which was looking to start to almost slip away from him a little bit as we enter the back end of this championship, is now fully back on. And they give him a little bit of renewed confidence to keep going after his teammate.
Yeah, definitely. It's as you say, it's opened the door a little bit now for Merckx. Very unexpected, a very uncharacteristic crash for Emir, but just shows, sometimes these guys are pushing as hard as they can, and these incidents can happen, and it's the unpredictable nature of motorsport.
So yeah, Bruce, you want to quickly take us through the provisional race results?
Absolutely. So, Merck there with an excellent win in tricky conditions, with Beyond the Ball a fantastic second for himself as well. Ash Tube in third, rounding out the podium, with Pro Driver a fantastic fourth as well, despite that last lap incident with teammate Conan, who finishes fifth. Martin sixth, Got Spooked seventh, Stenos in 8th in a Ferrari, not the best race for him. Reska 9th with a couple of points, and the DNFs are Owen, MDJ, Rockley, Joshua Bashford, Emma Jurakovic, Ghost, and I think the last one was DeLol, wasn't it?
I believe so, yeah. I'm going to quickly add Ashtube to the party chat. Hopefully he'll be able to join us. But yeah, I showed you how conditions can certainly change the course of races.
Yeah, I mean that was a difficult race. Once the rain came down, it's immediately became a soaking wet track, made it very difficult on that in lap for everyone to come in for the intermediates. And even once they had the intermediates on, it was still treacherous out there. And yeah, I mean, obviously a massive shame for the guys at DNF tonight, but it sort of brings that unpredictability that everyone sort of likes to see in a race.
Yeah, absolutely. It's unfortunately we're not going to get anyone in for a chat, but we will get some write-ups for everyone from everyone, hopefully on the podium. But Merck saying he wasn't happy with how qualifying went, but he felt more comfortable in the race. He's glad he got wet, as it seemed he gained some pace in the field when that happened. Unlucky for Emir, would have been a close battle near the later laps. He said went to the podium. I mean, let's just talk about that. I mean, Emir was out in front. You'd have to think, from what I've heard, Emir basically said he'd noticed he lost a bit of time to Merckx, who looked like he tried to push it a little bit. And as we know, going up through that Anderson Bridge, that left-hander is just slightly over a slight brow and the inside curb. If you clip it, you tend to spin round. It just seemed like one of those minute sort of errors and misjudgments through that corner, just trying to gain a bit of speed.
Yeah, absolutely. Even in a dry, if you try going through it a bit too quick, it's wise to sort of short shift almost through that sort of slight left kink a lot of the time anyway. But the biggest problem with where Emmy has lost it is that there is obviously no runoff. You have a brick wall either side of you. There's other places on the circuit where you can sort of half get away with it, or they're wider. But yeah, I mean it's the narrowest part of the circuit, and yeah, it's very rare to go off there and get away with it. So, yeah, a big shame for Emir, but it does spice the championship up a little bit.
So you're just waiting. I think Ashtube is typing. I have asked Bjorn de Boer, but we'll obviously only have so much time in an evening. But I mean, looking forward, obviously, next week would normally be a break week. It is for every other tier at the moment, except for tier 1, because we do have that rerun of Abu Dhabi. And it is a complete rerun. Obviously, everything's just a complete refresh. It becomes effectively round 10. And that's going to be interesting because obviously, normally if you think it's going to be a break week, you kind of switch off. But these guys can't do that for now the remainder of the season.
Yeah, no, absolutely. It's a full running now. 6 races still remaining. So, yeah, it's a good chance to still sharpen your skills further as the season comes to a close. But yeah, starting to get down to the business end of it already. Things are looking good really for the Aston Martins, aren't they, at the moment? So yeah, you'd have to say even though Emir's retirement tonight does sort of hamper them a little bit constructors wise, I think they're still looking pretty good for that. But yeah, it's like you say, it's going to keep everyone on their toes now. No chance for rest, and yeah, we'll be interested to see how they go on this rerun of Abu Dhabi next week.
Yeah, absolutely. And we're just getting a couple more responses in. Ashtube saying his qualifying went well. He was happy with P4. Got into P3 when the race started after Stinos spun. And then under VSE, he was 0.019 over his delta, so he got the drive through. Obviously, served it, pushed flat out to close the gap as much as he could, and then the safety car came out. So he pitted for mediums, found the mediums quite good. He felt quite good on them, so he made up some positions. And then obviously the second safety car allowed him to get up into P6. Obviously, he made positions from other people's mistakes. When the rain came, ended up P4, and then got the Alpine when they made the mistake. He did try to get beyond a Burr, but Bjorn was just a little bit too quick. Overall, he was happy to get his first podium. He's hoping for more. Had some damage on the wing, but was able to manage it. So potentially that's why he kind of yo-yoed with Bjorn a little bit, managing that damage. Bjorn de Burr is saying he hasn't raced in a month. So he didn't expect anything good. He qualified P12, locked up in the same turn every lap. Stayed at the back for most of the race until the rain came. He's quick in the rain, so he managed to keep good pace and got lucky by people going off in front of him. He's very, very pleased with the P12 to P2 race. So congratulations to all of the podium drivers. And we look forward to the racing next week. But from myself and Bruce, it's been a long old stream tonight, courtesy of said Singapore Grand Prix. So we shall leave it there. But for everyone, thank you all for watching. This has been the Invictus Racing League Tier 1 in partnership with gridfind.com and Venturi Studios. And for myself and Bruce, we hope you all have a good night. Thank you for watching.